Now, regardless if you're going to be buying a domain or just buying a link from a PBN domain, I want to discuss how to determine if the domain quality is good. Is it actually going to be passing the power that you want? Aside from that, whether you're buying a guest post or a PBN, we need to determine, hey, are these links of actual quality? So my name is Chris Palmer, and that's exactly what I'm going to be discussing today. First and foremost, I'm going to give you a breakdown of, some more known tips that you're seeing a lot. And then I want to give you the way that I truly determine if a link is going to be quality and it's actually going to pass the power that I want it to. So regardless if I'm buying an entire domain or I'm buying just a link, I'm going to give you my breakdown and how I actually determine, hey, is this going to be passing the power that I need it to? All right, so let's not waste any time. Let me go ahead first and foremost discuss a few more known ways. All right, now oftentimes what you're going to find is if you're buying PBN links or if you're seeing domains advertised, they're going to say a couple of things, right? They're going to go ahead and list a metric, all right? Whether it's going to be a SEMrush authority score, all right, the SEMrush authority score, they're going to list maybe the referring domains, and they're going to list the amount of traffic that the domain is receiving. So let's go ahead and break these things down. So first and foremost is if we're looking at getting a link, let's say we're looking at getting a link from Chris Palmer Marketing, or maybe we want to buy Chris Palmer Marketing, all right, to set up as a PBN. Here's what we're looking at, and these are the more well-known things. So the first thing is referring domains. So we need to determine how many actual referring domains, how much other links are coming into the domain. So in this case, it's 279. Now, to break that down just a little bit more, you need to look at, well, what's the authority of the actual referring domains? We're not looking at total number of backlinks, because the total number of backlinks is 2,500. But when we look at referring domains, you could see that I only have 279, all right? Then you need to go down, you need to notch it down just a little bit more. We need to figure out, based on a third-party metric, in this case, SEMrush, which they're actually updating their authority score. I'm very excited for this. If we take a look in here and we were to put in, say, 40 to 100, this is going to give us a true number of, hey, how many quality links, referring domains, are actually coming into this domain, and in this case, we have 100. So that's one way, is looking at third-party metrics. The next piece that we need to see when determining the power, and this is a pretty known thing, and again, stick with me, I'm going to show you my true way to figure out the quality of a backlink, all right? It's easy, but you're going to have that aha moment. Stick with me. So let's go ahead and go through this now. The next piece is going to be traffic to the domain. Is the domain actually getting traffic? So in this case, obviously, this site was offline for a little while, but before it was offline, it was a steady increase. It was receiving organic traffic. If a site is getting actual traffic, it has pages indexed and it has keywords indexed, then obviously we know that it is getting crawled and we know that it's passing power. So traffic to the domain is the next piece. Is the domain actually getting traffic? Is going to be looking at the anchor text. All right, so if we're determining if we're going to buy this as a PBN or a private blog network domain, or we're just going to, and we're buying the site. For some reason, the network is saying, hey, here's my sites, and you were doing a little bit of investigation, then what you'd be looking at next is going to be the anchor text coming into the domain. So utilizing SEMrush, we went to referring domains. All right, now we're looking at the anchor text. And the reason why we're looking at the anchor text is because these are votes from other sites, right? So these are the words that are coming in from other sites that other sites are saying about our site. Now, in an ideal world, it's only going to be relevant text coming in, anchor text coming in, that's going to be talking about our keywords or within a particular niche. So in this case, it's Instagram, SEO consultant, Chris Palmer Marketing, Audit, and Services. So if you were in the digital marketing space or you're an SEO or doing something with Instagram, this might be a pretty good domain to get a link from. So anchor text is very important. Again, I'm saving the better tips as we go on, so stick with me. So that's anchor text. Now we've talked about referring domains. We've talked about the third party. We've talked about traffic to the domain, right? And we've talked about the anchor text that comes into the domain. Now let's touch on some lesser known things. And again, I'll save the best tip for last. But let's talk about how we can niche this down and really determine A, if the domain is going to be quality, right? If we're going to set up a private blog network, but B, if we're buying a link, how do we determine that it's quality? So we're really utilizing the same steps that we did just before, but we need to start breaking it down. So, and let me explain that. So what we're looking at is if you're looking to buy a link, all right, on a PBN, or you're setting up a page. So what we're looking at is this. So if we go in here to referring domains, all right, and let's just say it was this one here, okay? Let's say it was this one here, all right? What we're looking at now is the title of the page that the link is going to be on, does it contain the target key phrase, all right? So does the actual title of the page contain the target key phrase? That's a question that needs to be asked. The next element of it is wherever the link is on the page, is the surrounding text around it going to contain relevant co-occurring keywords or words that often come up when speaking about what our anchor text is going to be? You know, depending on your relationship, whether you're buying the domain or you're buying a PBN link, you know, these are requests that you might want to have. Hey, I need co-occurring words around the text, around the anchor text of what my anchor text is going to be. And that brings me to the next piece, is the anchor text. Is it highly relevant to the domain? You know, passing over branded, we're talking about buying now, or placing links within a PBN, but that anchor text, the anchor text on the domain, if you take a look here, all right, looking for some anchor text. This is anchor text, but it's going back home. But is the anchor text going to say, click here? Is it going to say learn more? Or is it going to say your actual, just your website, a naked URL? Like if this was your URL up here, is it just naked? Or does it contain a partial or an exact match of what your keyword you're trying to rank for is? These are things that we need to know and we're looking at. The next piece, and this is often overlooked and this is so important when buying or creating links, is wherever we are putting the links, all right? Let's say that this is the domain that we're placing the links on. What is the actual page quality, the page metrics, not the overall DA? This often comes up when you're buying PBN links, or even if you're buying PBN domains like expired domains, they're listing the domain score. They're not listing the actual page score, right? Like what is the actual page authority if we're looking at, say, Moz, or what's the actual UR if we're looking at Ahrefs? What is the pages score that the link is going to be on? Then if we take that a step further, if we're looking at the other metrics that we just went over, the page that the link is going to be on, does the title contain the keyword? Is the anchor text going to contain the keyword or a partial match? Is there surrounding text that's going to contain co-occurring keywords when talking about my primary keyword? And last but not least, the anchor text coming into that actual page, does the anchor text that comes to the page that my anchor text is going to be on, does that contain, not the overall domain, but the actual page where my anchor text linking to my site is, does that page contain target anchor text that I want to rank for? Meaning, instead of looking at the anchor text for the overall domain, what about the anchor text of the page that my link is going to be on? Does that have other links coming in that are related to my search phrase? This is why your public blog network links are losing value, is because they have all these different anchor texts coming in. They're usually repurposed. They're not dedicated private blog networks. They're not dedicated to a niche or a specific topic, right? They make these general blogs. They put all these different links on them. They build all these different links to them. They have all these outbound links, and they're losing their quality, all right? So what we've talked about so far now is we've talked about using third-party metrics, referring domains, the traffic, the anchor text on the page, and the overall anchor text coming in. We've talked about the importance of referring domains. We've talked about the importance of traffic coming not only to the overall domain, but to the actual page of where my link is going to be. Traffic, or the propensity for a link to be clicked, increases the power of the link exponentially. A link has to have so not only does making the text bigger or making it underlined or making it a hypertext, but actually having traffic coming into a page where there's a link, the propensity for a link to be clicked increases the power of a link. It's in the patent, right? Now, let me go ahead and share with you some of the things that I really look for. Let's say I'm going to buy a domain, all right? I want to set up my own PBN, which I'm in the process of building more and more. But when I say I'm going to buy a domain, say I'm really going to buy a link, I want to give you some metrics that will really tell the tale for you if the link is actually going to pass the power you want, or if the overall domain is even worth your time, right? Now, I don't necessarily want drop domains or expired domains. Why? Because I want to hurry the process up. But with that being said, let's say we bought the auction domain. We bought a domain that's never dropped. What are we looking at to determine if the power is actually being passed? And this is often overlooked. Yes, we're looking at referring domains. Yes, I'm looking at third-party metrics. Yes, I'm looking at the incoming anchor text and all of these other pieces. But there's two things that I need to make sure of when purchasing an auction domain or whether I'm purchasing a link. And I'm going to share those with you right now because this is going to tell the tale if the domain or the link is actually what you want it to be or what you're paying for. How many pages are actually indexed on that site? Is it just one? Is it just two? Is the whole site indexed? Is there a huge majority of pages indexed? And is a large majority of those pages actually getting traffic? That's a big indicator. And this is the biggest tip or the gem of today's video. But the real tell of the tale is when you're looking through each of the pages, okay? We need to determine how long ago did Google cache the page? How long ago, when we go through the pages, how long ago or how often are the pages getting cached? How often is Google coming to the site and recaching and re-looking at the site? And the reason for this, sites that are of value, that are of high quality, are going to be indexed, crawled, and cached more frequently than sites with lower quality. PBN Backlinks.